So, congratulations on surviving the first season, because I was afraid for you every minute of that.
It's very kind of you. Being naked on a concrete floor is never nice.
I just talked about that in an interview. I just talked about like when you had to be naked on the concrete floor.
And it really was.
And then
it was horrible.
It was written for me at the end of the at the beginning of the season
right,
to be
you
naked
got
on the
out of
concrete floor. I called him.
He was like, I am not doing that.
But I did do it like that. I texted Rupert and I was like, at any time did your balls touch cold concrete? Because the scene was shot. I did. This is a real story.
I didn't think you were going to actually tell the story.
Kempetai, their jail is at the basement of an old mental hospital called Riverview in Vancouver. Everybody shoots there, right? But it's damp and it's dark and cold.
It's the real thing.
And so it said I was being beaten naked in a room, and I was like, I called him and was like, did your balls ever touch cold concrete? He said yes, and I was like, I'm not doing that. You have to put me in underwear. I want to be in underwear, so put me in underwear.
Not underfloor heating?
Nope. None of that. We don't have any of those luxuries.
Yeah.
Did you know you were going to make it, or were you afraid with every script that this was the one where they were going to?
No, I mean, I at the end of that episode, I think it's episode 2 of season 1, I get out. Ed's there waiting for me with Inspector Keto in the Kempetai, front foyer, and so I knew that I got out. So I knew that at the end of that episode, I'd at least kind of survive that. So
I think there's a code of honor on television. Unless you're a monster or something's going on with you, they're going to give you some notice if you're being written out of the show.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of know when you sign a series regular deal, you kind of expect to be around. And if they change their mind, you would hope they would tell you. So you wouldn't just one day pick up a script and go, "Oh no, I'm fired."
Unless you're on The Walking Dead.
Yeah, true.
Probably. Yeah, true. Any questions?
So, you talked a little bit last at New York Comic Con about how your character was so much about friendship and helping his friends and doing what was best for them. I actually, from what you were saying at the time, I expected it to go completely different. I didn't actually expect him to help them as much. I almost thought he was going to turn them in, and that was the path you meant.
Right.
More. That to him, just staying within the confines of what the Japanese wanted was what was best for these characters.
But turning him in, you couldn't guarantee that he would. You pretty much know what the end of that would be. The only other option is then to go along and try to whisper and persuade and bring back to the safety of being under Japanese rule. I mean, that's the thing that's hard, is that it's awful, but it's safe. As safe as you can be in this world. If you follow the rules, you'll live and maybe make enough to eat and house yourself. I mean, that's sort of what Ed thinks. That's what Ed's view of the world is. It's the best you can hope for.
And Frank's actually in season 1.
And then, but to see that slip away from you, and then know that you're going to have to abandon it, because that now no longer exists for you because you love somebody so much. And we get into the reasons why he loves them so much in season 2, but you love someone so much that they've made a choice for you, and there's no going back. So the only way is forward. Yeah.
What can you tell us about where their paths go from where they were last?
Well, I think it's fair to say that we both after the events of season 1, I think both Ed and Frank Frink have changed people, and they find themselves looking at life very differently, and I think that brings about conflict between them, and an expectation of what is their friendship and how it's changing, and they look at themselves, and so there's a certain tension and cracks start to appear, really, I think. And as DJ said earlier, I think cracks are what the whole theme of this season. There's cracks with everybody, and it starts to kind of the idea of what life is or what life was is very different to
and what happens when something
2.
changes? You get angry, and then how do you deal with that anger? How does that but there's some external forces that are happening as the resistance movement starts to sort of reach out to us. But there's also some external things that they're requiring my character to break laws. He has several places of pressure and outside influence coming from different sources, and he's starting to he hates those people and he hates those sources of stress and influence. But who can he turn it on? Who can he direct it at? He directs it at Frank. He starts to feel things about Frank. And it starts out in sort of, we're just kind of exploring it now in sort of a passive-aggressive kind of way.
Yeah.
Saying some not nice things and that kind of stuff. I have a feeling it's going to ramp up as we close out season 2.
Yeah.
I mean, is it this season's gone in the direction that you expected? In terms of, I don't know if you've read the book, but do you think it was inspired by the book, or is it sort of gone off in ways that you didn't expect?
Do you know what? It has not. Well, for me anyway, it hasn't gone in a way that I thought it would. It's been. This year is very different to last year. Actually, I mean, not different to the point of stupidity, but just different in terms of. There are different characters, and I think we're all experiencing very different things from last year, and I think that's really interesting. So this is a different year.
I mean, do you think the fact that the alternative reality is going to play a bigger part? Do you think that changes the feel of the show? It sort of gives you sort of your opportunity to storytelling?
I don't think it does actually for me. I mean, I've seen bits of what comes up and how we use that, and I think. I think it's both interesting and compelling, but it's not overused, and it's, I think, what's great is they're all still very connected. Ultimately Juliana is the one that connects it for me, for Frank, and for Ed, actually, perhaps, if I may say that, in some kind of weird way. And I think, so there is still a connection between us all, even though we find ourselves in different places mentally or emotionally and physically. It's all kind of part of the one reality and what is reality and what is truth and all that stuff. So,
but if you're asking if it went differently than how we would have thought as actors, yes, it totally went differently. We had a cast of 7 people last year who will work together, and now we don't as much.
No.
Now with all these fissures that the stress of change has created has pushed us all in a different direction. So we don't, just on a practical level, no, it's not. I thought I'd be working with these people more. I thought I would see them more. I'd be in scenes with them more. And we're increasingly working with other people, and new people are being introduced because our lives are drifting apart. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, there's certain things that I'm very surprised about this year. It doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's just what I didn't know where it was going to go. So it's been interesting. Yeah, it's been interesting.
You're done. It feels like a stopping place. I'm wondering how I'm going to get through this panel, honestly. My throat's hurting.
Oh, no.
I mean, I'm not, it's just from talking.
I know.
Maybe some water.
With some vodka.
No more questions?
You guys seem like you've bonded quite a bit, as being like best friends on the show and now maybe friends in life, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, imagine meeting someone and then spending 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
In a place where you don't live.
In a place you don't live. So you instantly gravitate towards people you work with. And it's a very weird thing. You take your clothes off instantly, you kiss people instantly. It's a kind of bizarre job.
It's interesting to see as new characters have come on the show, how we subconsciously relate to them. Because in our minds, we're not as catty as some shows are, but there is still an element of, it's the 7 of us. Meaning, if it's somebody's birthday, even if you don't feel like going out, unless you're dead sick, you go to if it's one of the 7 of us' birthday. There's an event in one of our lives, we go to it. But if it's another person from that's also a new character on the show, it's I know you're here and I like you, but I don't feel obligated to you like I do my own family.
Yeah, I think we went through a lot last year, together. It was it's obviously new, and so this, we
were cast at the same time. We did our pilot, then we waited.
Yeah.
So we've had all those shared experiences, and then we had the agony of waiting to see if the show was picked up again, and then shooting and like all that stuff, and then
it's weird how you divide up, because those in the West Coast, we sort of, spend more time with, and those in the sort of Nazi Reich, I'm like, no. It's kind of funny, isn't it? It's like kind of being at school again. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of how it works.
So you guys sound like you're kind of like the Mean Girls, we wear pink
but not like that. But you understand what I mean? It's for us.
We're just honest.
It's still
everyone else is lying.
This core group of people. It's the 7 of us, because we were there from the show's inception. Not the inception, but from the execution. And now to see it changing, it's just interesting. It's a different environment. I mean, we all still like each other, but we hunger to sort of work with each other more. And that's what, whenever we see each other at events like this, I'm like, I wish I was in more scenes with you, because we also trust each other, and that's a big deal. And the show is really collaborative. Like, the writers listen to us, and our best ideas come when we're all together and we're saying things
brainstorming.
like,
Guys, have a great Comic-Con 2016.